Dear colleagues, my name is Olesya Saban, and I am from Lviv Polytechnic National University. Let me present the results of our study, Software for Measuring Linguistic Literacy Rate of Students, based on comments written in Ukrainian on behalf of all of the co-authors, namely Ihor Drahushchak, Oksana Taran, Svitlana Bybyk, and Natalia Sharmanova. Our study deals with measuring linguistic literacy rate of Ukrainian students. We differentiate between basic literacy, that is the ability to write and read, and linguistic literacy or language literacy, which is used to identify the ability to write, pronounce, and express thoughts both in written and oral manner correctly. So, as Ukraine is a country with 100% literate population, we are going to talk about linguistic literacy. Linguistic literacy is primarily diagnosed either empirically by means of questionnaires, surveys, or testing, or by using the method of observation. In both cases, this is a manual analysis of quantitatively limited material, which is extremely time-consuming. External independent evaluation in Ukrainian language and literature contains an open-ended writing task in the form of an essay. Computer processing of the results of manually checked essays enables examiners to assess linguistic literacy skills of young Ukrainians. However, these results show linguistic literacy of formal Ukrainian at an examination. Formal communication and informal communication differ. Website and social media comment as a format of informal communication. Such spontaneous utterances show the level of linguistic literacy. Nonetheless, researchers have not given attention to them and have most often studied genre, lexical, or syntactic features. Our attention is focused on texts written primarily by students in an informal context, as they are the country's intellectual elite for decades to come. It is possible to assess the level of mastering of a formal language by a student based on written utterances made spontaneously, in particular in Ukrainian. We suggested the method for measuring linguistic literacy rate automatically. Using this method, it is possible to process a vast array of written texts. The research material is Ukrainian students' comments about 449 Ukrainian universities on the web portal. About 10,000 comments in Ukrainian made over the period of 2009 and 2018 were analyzed. That is since the creation of the portal till 2019, when the new Ukrainian spelling rules were introduced. However, 2/3 of these comments were made in Russian. Such comments were dismissed. Some universities have very few comments, or comments are prohibited by the university management. For instance, Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv currently has 405 comments. That is an average of 33 comments per year, some of which were made in Russian. However, the number of comments per university does not influence the process of the identification of errors in general. The LanguageTool browser extension was chosen to complete the task of this study because it can test not only spelling but also grammar as well as the style of the text. It is possible to trace the patterns according to which the program works due to the HTML markup. Fragments of text containing an error are given the span tag, which contains classes that determine the type of error. These classes are responsible for grammatical errors, spelling errors, and hidden suggestions about a possible error and its variations. Despite the obvious benefits of this program, it cannot analyze a big number of comments. At this stage, to automate the interaction with the site, we suggest creating a program that would input data into LanguageTool, encourage it to analyze errors, collect the analyzed data, and store it in a certain structure. We suggest creating such a program using a Python algorithmic programming language and Selenium library to simulate a browser. It will input data into LanguageTool, encourage it to analyze errors, collect the analyzed data, and store it in a certain structure. As the data provided by the program for further error analysis contains pieces of text which are considered to be erroneous, it can be used to measure the linguistic literacy rate. The linguistic literacy rate will be based on the number of characters in a fragment of a comment containing an error and on the total number of characters in a comment. If there is an error in the word, then the number of error characters equals the number of letters in this word. If it is a punctuation error, that is one unnecessary punctuation mark or the one that is missing in a sentence, then the number of error characters equals 1. So the result of this program is the data saved in a TXT file where each data set is separated by paragraphs and each data element is separated by a tab. The following data can be extracted from the consolidated exported table: the number of grammatical, spelling, and other errors, quantitative parameters of error variations, and hidden suggestions about the errors of these and other types. The latter shows the most frequent students' mistakes. Parameters in the table are written in the form of a class naming standard in programming. Error analysis revealed the neglect of rules of computer typing, in particular a space before or after certain characters, and spontaneous communication. Morphological punctuation and euphonic errors were the most common ones. Errors of hidden suggestion include typing errors, stylistic errors, lexical, and punctuation errors. The number of errors per comment is 3.3. Using Excel tools, linguistic literacy rate was measured for the data exported from the text file. We suggested measuring the linguistic literacy rate by the following formula. The next step was to compile regions and measure the average value of the linguistic literacy rate for each region. A fixed numeric format with 5 decimal places was chosen for the rate, and filtering by the linguistic literacy rate was conducted. The obtained linguistic literacy rating shows that Kyiv, Poltava, and Chernihiv regions have the highest figures. In general, the use of Central Ukraine has the highest linguistic literacy rate, which may be explained by the lack of strong influences of the neighboring countries' languages. The worst results are shown by southeastern Ukraine, where code switching between Ukrainian and Russian occurs, and the Russian language predominates. For visualization of obtained results, the map of linguistic literacy of Ukrainian students was created. This map shows the linguistic literacy rate with the help of color saturation. The more saturated the color, the higher the linguistic literacy rate. The obtained results are of practical importance for language didactics, as they enable determining factors of future work of philologists in both secondary and higher educational institutions, as well as adjusting programs in each region according to the most common errors made in a particular region. Thank you for your attention.